Curtin FM 100.1, supporting our community.
It is 22 minutes past 2, temperature 34.1 degrees, slowly creeping down. And joining us online now is a man that's really got a story to tell. He's an author, he's an adventurer, and he's had a few knocks in life. And I welcome Steve Adams. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Jenny. How are you?
I'm very good. Had a chat with you this morning, and you sort of outlined a bit of your life, but there's been quite a bit to it, hasn't there?
There's been quite a bit, Jenny. That's why I decided to write a book about it.
Well, good on you for doing so. Now, why the title, first of all?
Well, the title Monkey in the Wing comes from my near-death experience that followed my accident. And that's where the Monkey in the Wing comes from.
What, is that a saying connected to the accident, or...?
No, it was a vision. It was a full-on vision. It was like a real thing. You know, it was, I was run over by a truck.
Yeah.
And the next thing I was I had this full-on near-death experience that went for quite some time. But there was a monkey on a plane's wing in the ocean. The Boeing had been ditched there, and I was swimming in there in the water, and I was trying to reach the wing, and the monkey was urging me on. His left side was paralysed, and so was mine.
How amazing.
I was trying to reach the wing, and the monkey saved my life, and the monkey was actually me.
Isn't that incredible, Steve? Gosh. Now, when did you start to write the book?
All right, I started to write the book, first of all, in 1997, but I really, really struggled with it. I couldn't start it. And I gave a talk. I became a public speaker after my accident, Inspiration Through Motivation. And I did a talk in Bunbury a few years ago, about 10, 11 years ago. I touched the life of this woman in that talk, and she came up and told me so afterwards. And then I struggled. We became friends, and I was talking to her about 9 years later, or 10 years later, or whatever. And I was telling her how I couldn't start it, and it turned out she was a teacher who specialised in language.
Oh, how
so
wonderful.
she gave me the start, so she turned around and touched my life just as much.
Well, that was meant to happen, wasn't it?
And just become with the old reckon.
Well, your life certainly changed, but up to that point, Steve, you took off at a pretty young age, didn't you? You left home early, didn't you?
16 when I left home, and I'd been farming for a year and a half before that.
Right.
My mum lived on 100 acres up east of Julian Bay, and I used to work for the farmers in the district.
Yeah, and why did you leave home so young?
Oh, just sick of it, you know. I thought there had to be more to life than just hanging around the farm. I was working pretty hard, but I mean, I was on my own up there. There was no other kids in the area.
Fair enough.
So I was just working and just wandering around shooting rabbits and foxes and cats and stuff like that. My days off. And
you went a long way from the farm, didn't you?
75 hours on the bus.
Where did you end up?
Pardon?
Where did you end up, first off?
Well, I actually was working for a guy in Perth on the winery, and he wouldn't let me have a long weekend off, so I decided to have Monday off anyway. I said, see you later, got up before they woke up and took off to my mate's house over in Linwood. And when I got back to the winery, he said I disobeyed him and gave me the sack, so I went back over there. And it's funny, my Uncle Kevin turned up about 2 days later with a bus ticket. He said, you're going to New South Wales. Your mum wants to go to New South Wales. I said, I don't want to go, Kev. He said, too bad, mate. Dropped me off at the East Perth train station on a bus, and off I went.
Is that right? Pretty adventurous. So you worked in Australia for quite some time, but then you ended up overseas, of course.
Well, I ended up spending 8 years wandering around Australia, around the top end twice, down the centre, right around a couple of times. And then I thought there had to be more than that as well, so I bought a one-way ticket to England in 1992 and shot off over there.
And how did you get through over there when you started to travel? Did you work? What did you get to see?
First of all, I worked on a beam trawler in the English Channel, so I got to see the White Cliffs of Dover every time we went out, which was quite often. Then I wandered around England for a little while, and I ended up actually knocking a guy's teeth out, the engineer on the Petronella. So,
Steve?
So, well, I was provoked, you know. Anyway, he had his four front teeth missing, and I got a job on a crab boat because I no longer had that job. And then when I had finished on the crab boat, it was cold in England, so I decided to go to North Africa for a spell.
Yeah.
And ended up getting stranded there. I spent 2.5 months with no money, no language, no nothing, and
How'd you
living on the street.
survive? How did you survive over there?
Well, I lived on the streets, and
Goodness.
I slipped down to the markets. You know, they were pretty busy when no one was watching. I'd nick a date, a bit of goat cheese, whatever I could get my hands on, a bit of oranges here and there.
Oh, my goodness. It's a pretty tough life.
Oh, it was good fun. I actually missed the place when I left there.
And how long were you there?
2.5 months.
2.5 months. And where did you move on to? And where did you get the money to move?
Well, I actually left. The Canadian embassy helped me get out of Tunisia, out of Tunisia. And when I got on the plane, the Canadian diplomat Pierre Bedard, who I got on really well with, he's a really nice guy. He slipped me 50 dinars, which is about 20 pounds. Gave me a wink, said, "I hope I never see you again, Steve." A big smile. I said, "I hope I never see you again either, mate." And I jumped on the plane. I was on the plane because he took me out and put me on the tailgate. It's a long story how I got out of there because I couldn't find an exit stamp, which is imperative to get out of the country. And he ended up just putting me on the plane. And I landed in London with 20 pounds, and that was it.
You know, there's a bit of, I've got emails here from people that have read your book, and they've all got, you know, something out of it, some terrific things out of it. But someone here that said that when you went to the Canadian Rockies, the chapter, he said it was the best part that he'd read through the book, actually, and he said it got a little bit violent at times. You had a few pub fights, it sounds.
Pardon?
You had a few pub fights in Canada, did you?
Oh, pub sites.
Yeah, that's what he
Did
said.
you say?
Yeah,
Pub sites.
his comments about the book were that he said that the Canadian Rockies chapter was the best he read in the book.
Oh, yeah. That chapter is actually called Battle of My Life, chapter 71. And when I first went to Canada, I was hod carrying in England first of all, and then I decided to go to Canada. And I knew I was going to do some heavy-duty camping there, but I didn't know where. So I just bought all the equipment I needed and that. And when I got to Canada, I ended up crossing from Toronto to a place called Hope in British Columbia, which is near Vancouver on the other coast, so coast to coast. But when I got to the Rocky Mountains, I realised, wow, this is the place I want to go camping, you know. So I dug out the tent, and it was quite funny start. I got to the foothills of the Rocky Mountains there. I just bought a brand new little sharp kitchen knife to go, you know, take through there, and that had all the supplies, everything. My start was a 1,000-foot climb over this pass to begin the walk, and I psyched myself up, had a smoke, you know, looked up. But when I was ready, I grabbed my pack, slung up my back, stabbed my knife straight through my right arm.
Oh, brilliant. Goodness me.
So I put down all the gear, got my medical supplies out, bandaged my arm up, muscle was all hanging out my arm, and I had another smoke and got going. I ended up walking 134 kilometres through the Rocky Mountains over 9 days.
And you knew where to go? Are you following some map of some sort?
Oh, they've got trails over there.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Trails, but there's a lot of trails, a few trails. You come to some sections and it's quite easy to get lost, but I had a book with me that was all about the trails in the Rocky Mountains in that particular part of the Rockies, so I was just following that.
What's the incident? He also refers to an incident in a hospital with a chap that had Down syndrome.
Oh, well, that was after I'd been run over, and I actually got my jaw broken the first time when I was 21 in a nightclub for dancing with the wrong girl.
You've had a few incidents, Steve.
I did a pretty good job of me. Broke in 3 places behind each cheek and the chin. I had to catch a train to Perth the next day.
Oh, my goodness.
And, this time when I was ran over, it shattered my jaw. A plastic surgeon had to put it back together again. And after I got out of hospital, Shenton Park, where I was for a year, I had to go back and get another jaw operation. So I went to Royal Perth, and I woke up in the morning after the operation, and I was hanging out for a smoke, you know, and I had all these drips and stuff hanging in me, and I rang the bell, and the matron turns up, or the nurse turns up, so she goes, "Yes, Steve, how can I help you?" And I said, "Can I go for a smoke, please?" She said, "Oh, I don't think so, mate, you know." I kept ringing the bell every half an hour for the rest of the day, you know. "No, can you take me for a smoke, please?" No. So the next morning I found myself in a room called A4 at the back of Royal Perth on my own, because the other places I was in a ward, or in a special anyway. "Yeah, hello, Steve, what's the matter?" I said, "Oh, nothing's the matter. Can I go for a smoke, please?" "Nah." And that went on all day. The next day I found myself in F5, which is on the 5th story of Royal Perth, with a sharing a room with a kid with a bloke with Down syndrome. Anyway, about 12:30 at night, we're having a bit of a yarn, you know, and I said, "Oh, gee, I tell you what, Craig, we've got bloody smoke." He goes, and I don't want to make fun of his speech here, but it was got to add to it to make it a bit, you know how it was. Yeah. He goes, "Oh, bloody hell, Steve, I've got something in my locker, mate." I said, "You're bloody joking." I said, "You idiot." I said, "Right, grab Craig, we're out of here." I said, "Look, mate, I'll hang on to your left elbow, you walk, right, and just tell me what's around." We were walking around for about 10 minutes. He goes, "Hey, Steve, there's a bloody elevator around here." He said bloody with everything, you know, and I said, "Oh, you beauty, mate, let's go." So we get in the elevator, and we go down to the ground floor, and we're walking around. He said, "Hey, Steve, there's a bloody exit over here." I said, "You beauty, mate, let's go." So we walk out the exit door, take about 3 or 4 steps, and the door goes click.
Uh-oh.
I said, "Oh, Craig, I think we just got locked out, mate. It's about 1:30 in the morning now, outside Royal Perth Hospital." And he goes, "Yeah, Steve, the money locked." I said, "Oh, well, mate, don't worry about it. We might as well have a smoke. We're out of here now."
You would have had more than one. Did you get back in?
Oh, we nailed a few. And anyway, I said, "Well, we better try and find a way back in." "Well, do you think we can find a way back in?"
I can imagine the two of you.
Unbelievable. You got this blind guy, but and then he goes, "Hey, Steve, there's a bloody ambulance over here." I said, "Oh, wicked, mate, let's go. That'll be us," you know. So we walk in. You've got to imagine this, Danny. We walked into emergency about 2:30 in the morning. We've got a Down syndrome guy about 3.5 foot high, with this 6 foot blind guy hanging onto his left elbow, dressed in sunglasses, no shirt, bare feet, and skimpy pajamas.
Oh my!
And the lady goes, "Can I help you?" Craig starts, "Oh, we went here for a smoke in the bloody doors are locked."
I wonder where he is today.
I don't know, really. I explained the situation. Security guards promptly came down, arrested us and put us back in our bed.
And took the cigarettes off you, no doubt. Oh, how funny. I tell you what, you must have some amazing stories, Steve. Now, listen, we must get to this terrible situation when you did have your accident. What were you doing? When did you end up in Kalgoorlie? Or why did you go?
It was funny. It was bloody ironic. Excuse me, now I've got Craig. I'm
visualising it.
Yeah, it was ironic because I'd spent 12 years, 8 years travelling around Australia, 4 years around the world, and I decided to come home and hang up my hiking boots. I was tired. I just spent the last call was 3 months in Amsterdam, and I was just worn out. I came home and I thought, right, that's enough for me. I'm going to try and get back into society, however that may be, you know, try and settle down, become somebody or whatever, you know. And a mate said, "Well, can you give us a hand to do a little bit of electrical work, audio work in Kalgoorlie for a couple of days?" I said, "Yeah, no worries, mate, sure." So anyway, I went up with him. There was 3 or 4 of us all together. Went up there and we did a bit of partying and everything. And then the next day at lunchtime, we worked, and then we went to the pub. And then the next day, I ran up the road to get a packet of smokes. So a bit expensive in the pub. And the boys were waiting for me. We were leaving about lunchtime. And I was running back down to the car, and I was on as I reached the satellites, the lights were green. A tip truck pulled up at the satellites just as I sort of got there. So I thought, "Oh, I'm not waiting. I'll just bloody keep going, you know." So I was about at the back of the truck then, which was towing a low-loaded trailer with a 4.5-ton forklift on it, and the trailer was hooked to the back of the tip truck by a tow ball. They had the 2 drawbars, the same as a trailer does when you have it where it's hooked on the back of your car. Anyway, just didn't see anything wrong with it. I just jumped across the drawbar, so I take a quick just jump across there.
Oh dear!
And my foot got stuck to the drawbar.
Oh
no! And yeah, he didn't know I was there. So when the lights turned green, he just drove off, which grabbed the trailer, which made me lose my balance. So I fell on the road between the 2 bars. My foot was still stuck. It dragged me about 75 metres along the bitumen on my back, and then my foot came loose, 12.5 tons straight over my head, which cracked my head, shattered my face, went over, shattered my jaw, went over my body, which broke all the ribs down my right side, punched my lung, broke my leg, ripped 3 of my toes mostly off, dislodged my shoulder blade, caused me to have a stroke which paralysed my left side by 98%. And the worst thing of all, Jenny, severed both my optic nerves. I'm totally blind.
Oh, my God. That split-second decision.
Yeah, but there was one good thing about that accident.
Oh, really? Tell us.
It was a nice day.
Oh, you're a funny bloke, Steve. You really are.
Oh, well, oh, well.
It's fantastic. Tell us, what is your life now? You've got a beautiful wife and family.
Well, when I was in hospital, I'd like to say I was in hospital for over a year, or about a year, and I was really scared to leave because I've been working with my hands all over the place, outside. Never had an inside job. I didn't know what to do, and the turning point came when it came time for me to leave. I still couldn't walk yet. It took me 18 months to learn to walk again. Had to learn to talk, feed myself, carry on, and I got out of hospital and went to see the brain surgeon. I wanted to thank the brain surgeon that worked on me. He saved my life initially after the accident.
Yeah.
And while I was waiting for him, this lady was crying her eyes out, and I asked Mum to wheel me over there and talk to her. So I talked to her, and it calmed her down, and it just hit me like a bolt from the blue that I wanted to become a counsellor to trauma victim families.
Oh,
and yeah, so I went to TAFE after that, and I thanked the surgeon, of course, and then I went to TAFE. Long story, I went and did a year at the Blind Association in '97 learning how to use a computer, because the only computer I'd ever used was to play pinball in Manchester. and that was it. And so I learned to use the computer and how to study, and I went to TAFE in '98, and that was a bit funny, because I left school when I just before I turned 15, just as. And I did certificate 3 of human services and certificate 4 social welfare. Did diploma of human services and won student of the year, funnily enough, out of the 7,500 students across the southwest.
Always had it in you.
Yeah, I did a social science degree out of Cowan down in Bunbury. And I got married along the way to the manager of client services at TAFE. And as we speak, my little daughter that I had to her is 10 now, Jess. Sitting out the back while I'm on the radio to you, keeping very, very quiet.
Oh, how old is Jess?
10.
10. Oh, how beautiful for you.
Yeah, so she's here, and then I gave that wife the slip a couple of years later.
Oh, you gave her the slip. Okay, yeah, we've moved on.
And well, funny enough, she got a transfer of all places to work to Kalgoorlie. Oh. So I went with her to Kalgoorlie. She said, I understand if you don't want to go. I said, it doesn't matter, I'll go, So we went up there, and I met the most beautiful woman of my life, who I'm married to now, and she was married, I was married, and they both had children, and I've got a stepson named Jesse, and a daughter named Jess.
Oh, how about that?
I just finally noticed everyone Jess was on.
And that's lovely Diana, isn't it?
That's beautiful Diana, and it's spelled Diana, but she's Finnish, so it's pronounced Diana.
How beautiful. And what do you... yeah.
Oh, and she's the love of my life. She's the rare jewel that you only ever find once on this planet.
Well, do you know what, Steve? I reckon you're the love of her life too.
Oh, yeah, I belted that into her early.
You don't you touch anyone else's teeth. Okay, we've got to wind up now, but apart from the book, Steve, what do you do with yourself? You do speaking?
Well, I'm a public speaker. It's like I said, inspiration through motivation. I've written a book, and I'm a qualified counsellor and all this lovely stuff. But mostly, I just love writing. Now, most of all, I'm marketing Monkey on the Wing, which is the title of this book.
It's great. There's some beaut stories in there, without a doubt. You've only just touched on them. We've got your or email address here for people, because they can only get the book from you. And if people want to ring in, we will, of course, pass that on. But I'll mention what it is now. It is Stedia, STEDIA 78 @gmail.com. But we've got it here. People will ring in, I'm sure, Steve, and want to hear a lot more about your stories in your life. And look, you are an inspiration. Congratulations to you and to your beautiful family.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Just one last thing. This book's 107 chapters. It's only 300 and something pages long, 30, I think. but it's a full-on read. You know, I've been getting so much good feedback on it.
Sure have. I can tell you, the emails that you've had on it responsive has been amazing. Good on you, Steve. Lovely to speak to you.
Thanks for the talk, Jenny, and all the best to you as well.
Anytime. Look out for your mate that you had the smoko with at hospital. See ya. Bye for now. Oh, what a great bloke, eh? Steve Adams.